June 19th, 2019 meeting of the Gaithersburg Planning Commission. First up tonight is the approval of the minutes from our June 5th, 2019 meeting. Is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the minutes of June 5th, 2019 meeting as written in the record.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, next up we have a public hearing, and I think, Ray, we're going to do something concurrently here, right, between the public hearing for the use and the update the site plan?
Yes.
So I'll let you read those both into the record formally, and I think, Roussel, you wanted to note something on this?
Yes, for the second Kimco application, the SDP, I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
Actually, so we've got the use as an ASDP, and then we have the site plan as an
AFP, correct.
Okay. But they're being heard concurrently, so.
Precisely, but in the past I have recused myself for similar applications. However, that was due to a position that I held in the community as the chairman of the Kentlands Community Foundation. I no longer have any relationship with that organization. I have my term has lapsed, and there is no bearings in terms of the information that we review at the point with the one that is concurrently being reviewed, so I am able to participate in this.
Okay, very good, thank you. So Ray, please set this up.
Certainly. Good evening. This is a public hearing on amendment to Schematic Development Plan, ASDP 8164, 2019. The applicant, Karen Garfield of Kimco Realty, submitted the application on April 17th, 2019. The applicant is requesting to allow education as a permitted use at the Market Square Shopping Center. The property is located within the Kentlands subdivision and is bounded by Kentlands Boulevard to the north and Main Street to the south. I'm going to point out on the screen where we're located. The boundary here, the red line, is Market Square. It does not include the Main Street live-work units. The existing development, the property is located in the MXD mixed-use development zone. The existing development of Market Square was constructed in concordance to Resolution R 8697 that approves Schematic Development Plan SDP 7-1, which is going to be amended tonight, and that was approved on July 7th, 1997. This application comes before the Planning Commission as a public hearing pursuant to Section 24-198C of the City Code, following the courtesy review that was presented to the Mayor and City Council on May 20th, 2019, the Council directed staff to have the amendment be referred to the Planning Commission for public hearing and final action. The hearing was duly advertised in May 30th and June 6, 2019 issues of the Washington Post, and the property was properly posted with signage. At the present time, there are 13 exhibits in the record file, and all exhibits are referenced in the exhibit list. All of the individual exhibits may be reviewed during the course of the meeting on the city's website or at the Planning and Code Administration office during regular business hours. Any objection to any exhibits should be noted prior to the closing of the record, and otherwise the exhibits will be deemed received into evidence. Since the applicant is only requesting a change in use, both applications ASDP 8164, 2019 and AFP 8221, 2019 have been filed concurrently. Since the amendment to schematic development application is a minor amendment, staff is of the opinion that the Planning Commission can close the record and take final action on both of these two applications this evening. Here tonight to present the application and answer questions is the applicant, Karen Garfield of Kimco Realty.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me back tonight. We're excited to bring this new tenant to Kentlands Market Square. We have a lease with Goldfish Swim School. And Goldfish is a premier learn-to-swim facility that teaches a life-saving skill in a safe and fun environment. That's right off that's kind of their thing. The space is located at 801 Center Point Way. It was formerly occupied by the Dress Barn. Goldfish has been in business for 12 years. They have 90 locations. 4 of those are in Maryland. I think the closest one to here that will be opening soon is Rockville. They have Silver Spring, Owings Mills, and then Kentlands. They really do provide a life-saving skill. They offer classes for ages 4 months to 12 years. They provide lessons 1 time a week. Classes are a maximum of 4 students per class. All staff, from the supervisor to the lifeguards to the instructors to the pool operator are certified in CPR and first aid. They have approximately 6 to 15 employees per shift. The pool is kept at a 90-degree shiver-free temperature for the students. And they operate 7 days a week. They open anywhere from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and close at the latest, depending on the day, at 8 p.m. The space that they are taking is about 8,628 square feet. It represents 4% of the total retail square footage of the center. We're very excited about this type of tenant and this type of use here. It adds another dimension to the retail offerings at Kentlands Market Square. Not only does it provide an excellent service and for teaching kids to swim, but encourages people to come to the center and shop and dine and use all the other offerings that we have. So if a parent drops off a child for lessons, they may shop at Whole Foods or PetSmart, get something to eat either before, during, or after the class. So it really creates that dynamic center and complement of uses that we really want to achieve here and continue to have. Parking-wise, the education use is actually a net reduction of the parking. We don't plan to change the parking count at all, so this doesn't create any new additional parking demand on the center. In fact, you would have, if it was a straight retail use, you would need 24 more spaces than what you have for this. That really is the presentation. We're super excited to have them here. They're very eager to be in this location and to bring this opportunity to the residents of Kentlands and Gaithersburg.
Great. Is this locally owned and operated like a franchise, or is
It's
it
a
part of a
franchise.
corporate? It is. Okay.
Yes.
And we'll get into the site plan piece, I guess. But how big is I assume they're going to excavate for the pool.
It's 25 feet by 75 feet.
Okay.
And it's 4 feet deep.
And where does the equipment end up going then?
It goes a combination of, I think it's on the roof mostly.
Okay. Pumps and filters and all that. I mean, I know there's a heavier equipment.
Probably some underneath a little bit, but for the most part on the roof.
Imagine so there.
But you're not proposing to do anything, an equipment fence out back? I know there's a back side to the building. There would be no...
Nothing outside the space.
Okay.
Good question.
Any other questions?
Nope.
All right. And this is a public hearing, so is there anyone here who would like to comment on this application? And again, it's both for use and for the amendment to the final plan. So, yes, please. And the routine is like the council meeting name and address, or at least neighborhood, and...
Jeff Scholenfrey on Chevy Chase Street near the new project. I obviously applaud this. My question, it's more of a question, is when you put in an educational use facility, does it impact the others around? For example, city law says you can't serve alcohol within 200 feet of this property, and Vasilis, I think, serves alcohol. So does the fact that you're approving an educational thing impact neighbors in terms of the rules and regulations and what can further move into the area?
Great question. Thank you. We'll get to anybody else want to comment or question? Okay. So the answer to that, Ray, do you know if we have a radius?
I didn't know if that law was still in effect. It's actually a county law related to the issuance of liquor licenses, and
I believe it was reduced, and I believe the focus was actually on religious organizations. I think the size was at one point 200, and I believe that was reduced a couple of years ago.
So to the best of your understanding right now, if for the sake of argument, a prospective tenant wanted to move into the adjacent space, and I hope they don't, because I like the art gallery, but if somebody were to move in there that wanted an ABC license, do you think they'd be precluded from getting it because they'd be too close to something that was educational, or is it a more tightly defined educational facility, or do you know?
I think this educational facility would probably not fall under that. I think it would have to be focused
like a public school.
Well, yeah,
only on children or possibly a public school,
Okay.
But there was also the component of a religious use as well.
And there are facilities in Kentland that actually were tutors, educational tutor shops that were in the live-work units. And right next door, in fact, to one of them was a liquor store. So there was no regulation about that at that time, so I don't think there's any problem here.
Okay. Maybe a recommendation, this is more for the record, not so much a condition, but do one final search on that to be sure there isn't any conflict before,
Good idea.
I mean, in the next week or two or something, just to be sure there isn't any conflict.
We can definitely do that research.
Yeah, okay. All right, so any other questions? And I think we've heard.
Will a sign package be coming forward to us at some point? Because it will obviously, I've noticed on the website that there is a fish involved, an icon fish, if you will. So is there a package coming to us at some point?
They'll do the tenant will do
Okay.
a signage permit and bring that.
Okay, thank you.
What is staff's recommendation?
Staff recommends that the Planning Commission, based on the evidence and testimony submitted into the record and the findings in the staff analysis, approve amendment to Schematic Development Plan ASDP 8164, 2019, and adopt the resolution, finding it in compliance with Section 24-160D 10B. And staff recommends that the Planning Commission, based on the exhibits submitted, the applicant's testimony, and the staff report findings and recommendation, grant AFP 8221, 2019, finding it in compliance with Section 24-170 and 24-172 of the City Code.
Very good, thank you. Any questions on the recommendation?
Make that in two separate recommendations then. We'll have two
Two
separate votes.
separate motions.
Yeah,
In
Two separate
fact-
motions, two separate
AFP,
votes.
we haven't discussed it.
In fact, we have a resolution for the use, right?
Yes.
Okay. So any questions on the recommendation?
Nope.
All right. So on the use, are there any concerns, any,
No, I think it's fantastic.
No, great.
okay. All happy with that? I am too. Great to hear it. All right, how about the site plan implications? Any concerns, discussion on that?
Parking, adequate facilities, no.
Great. Yeah, but I think it has to be said, what a great way to see adding some dimension to the commercial offerings and overall use of the space. That's really, really nice. And I try to do some research. I know these are popping up, the school indoor pools in commercial areas, and there doesn't seem to be any downside to it, except maybe foggy windows. I don't know. Put dehumidification and heavier dehumidification, but it seems to be a really good compatible and complementary use to everything else that's going on there.
Absolutely.
All right, so we have two motions. The first is, I believe, do we have to
ASDP.
say it's a resolution or just make a motion to approve the use, the
I would,
AFP?
I'm going to the, sorry.
Is it the ASDP?
I was
that we're doing
busy
first?
looking up liquor licenses information.
Yeah, the motion should be to approve the ASDP application
First.
and adopt the resolution.
That's because that's what
Okay.
it says.
Does it
That's
say
what
that?
it says
Okay, I'm
in the
sorry.
Yeah,
motion,
I'm
yeah.
finding it.
Perfect. So is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I move that the Planning Commission, based on the evidence and testimony submitted into the record, the findings and the staff analysis, approve amendment to Schematic Development Plan ASDP 8164-2019 and adopt the resolution finding it in compliance with Section 24-160D.10B.
Second.
It's moved to second, and all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. And is there a motion, please, on the amended final site plan?
Mr. Chairman, based on the exhibit submitted, the applicant's testimony, and the staff report findings and recommendation, move that the Planning Commission grant AFP 8221-2019, finding in compliance with Section 24-170 and 24-172A of the City Code.
Second.
It's moved to second, and all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thanks very much.
Great.
Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Look forward to seeing
Seeing you
the
come
new-
before us more often.
the new
That's
tenants.
great. More tenants, the better.
All right, that takes us to, from the commission. Phil, may I start with you?
I don't have anything. Are we going to do the
What's that?
Planning Commission memo?
We'll do that
We'll
after
after.
you guys go.
Then I'm good. I don't have anything.
Nothing.
Don't feel bad if you want to get up and leave. We're just
Oh,
in
no,
our...
they're actually
yeah.
staying for
This
the
thing
evening.
next week. It's also part of.
Oh, right, I'm sorry. Gotcha. Light anything tonight?
No, nothing else. Thank you.
Actually, I brought a book written by a Kentlands resident.
Excellent.
It's called
Beavers.
Kyle and the Kentlands Beavers. So a good friend of mine, Marianne Silstra, took what was an interesting dynamics and circumstances that took place in our community and made it into a very good and enjoyable story. I would recommend you go to Amazon and support it. It's very well written and illustrated by a regional artist. So, all right.
Is that on
Sign her up for the
Amazon?
book festival next year.
Yeah.
Very good.
And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that in July 16, we will be holding a town hall for Main Street, for the Kentlands Main Street. It's geared towards bringing up to speed all of the community members and Live Fork owners and patrons about the steps that have been taken in order to create a vision and organize and the owners towards a 501c3. So June 16 at the Arts Barn.
Great, thank you. All right, so then we go to from staff, but we actually have agenda items. So how do you want
Yes.
to cut that up?
We can do the annual planning report worksheet first.
Okay.
Okay.
So, as you remember, every year we do an annual worksheet form that we're required to submit to the state. The 2018 one was included in your packet for your review. We will also do an illustrative pack plan as normal as well. We haven't completed that yet. Once it's completed, then we will bring it back before the commission. But if you have any questions on the worksheet, staff's happy to answer them. Otherwise, we just need a motion to approve those, and
Okay.
we will sort it on to the state.
Any questions on it? I read through it. I don't know how we could have done it without you.
We
It's
would know.
funny, you notice it's sent from us to the state,
Yeah.
or sent by staff on behalf of us, so I'm so glad you did that for
Well,
us.
thank Clerk Eby and Jasmine Forbes
Yeah,
and the
nice
planning
work.
department.
Good. All right, so if there's no other
No.
questions, comments, there's a motion to approve it and
Yes.
send it along.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the annual report worksheet going to the state for year 2018.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right,
And then
thanks.
just two notes, next planning commission meeting is July 3rd, and we do have a joint public hearing scheduled for August 5th, which is for the short-term rentals.
Right. Sounds good. All right, so now we want to go to the staff approval request?
I've got the staff approval.
You have it.
As typical with these memos, pursuant to Section 24-172A-BJ of the City Code, amendments to final site plan can be delegated by the City Planning Commission to staff as a minor amendment. Kimco Realty, owner of the Kentlands Market Square Shopping Center, has requested approval for architecture facade renovations of 3 tenant spaces. The tenant spaces are adjacent to previously approved architecture from the application AFP 7591-2017 and are consistent with the previously approved elevations for the center. That application number also approved the PASEA. I would like to note that the plans you received in your packet were for informational purposes related to tonight's discussion. We believe additional modifications to these plans are needed prior to approval. For example, the former wine harvest space includes a blank wall facing the Paseo. To encourage activation of this space, we believe the storefront windows should turn the corner. The approved sign guidelines for the center also allow a mural on this wall. While the specifics of the mural have not been submitted to the city for review, staff feels that these minor revisions would not preclude it from occurring. The mural will need to be approved by the Planning Commission when the application is provided. With that said, staff is of the opinion we can work with the applicant on these design changes to the architecture and requests that the Planning Commission finds the application to have a minor effect and directs staff to make the final decision on the amendment. And lastly, as Kimco continues to modify the tenant spaces within the center, we are requesting the Commission allow staff to process all future architecture changes which are similar to the previously approved design aesthetic as a minor amendment.
Any concerns?
Well, I wanted to note that in front of the space that we just discussed on this portion of the application, there's a green planter shown at both sides of the steps that go up to what will be Goldfish. And it's blocking the entire depth of the sidewalk, and that right now it's the only handicap accessible portion of the that allows a wheelchair to get up that incline. So I think that definitely has to be removed in order to make sure that access remains.
I wasn't following. Which location was that?
In front of the Goldfish.
Gotcha.
It's elevated so that, there's an elevation there.
Yes.
Yeah, so in the area that is being shown, there's a planter that is being suggested in one of the images. I'm sorry.
Was it a rendering
no.
or the site plan?
It's a rendering. So I just wanted to make sure that those are stripped or cut back to allow ADA access right there, yeah.
Can I make a recommendation that maybe the direction to staff is to ensure accessibility?
Have to by
Because
law.
there'll be some path travel and some other things to look at too.
Yeah, I'll note,
Slopes.
we have not completed a review yet
Yeah.
on the proposed application. We would look though to make sure that it did provide adequate ADA access.
Okay. Well, this particular rendering, the one that we're looking at, the picture just strips it. I just,
Yeah, that actually wouldn't be like that. Agree with you. It would not allow for a passable sidewalk that would meet ADA requirement, which we want to maintain. So this is a little bit of artistic license just in the rendering.
I understand. And then, just from having talked to like community members and not necessarily my personal opinion, there have been some concerns about the way that the current portion of the architecture has been carried out. And so only because I have heard loud voices about this, I'm a little concerned about taking this entirely to the staff position and not allowing the public to comment. But I can.
I would note also that just because it's reviewed by staff does not remove the public from providing comments. We still require notification, and if someone does have a concern, they are
Okay.
able to provide comments to staff.
And the purview on this particular request is only on those three small segments of the.
And in future ones.
Well,
We
that's
are
the
asking-
proposal.
Yeah, we are asking for future similar requests to be approved by staff.
So explain that. You're saying that if any one or all of them were to come back, it would be staff approval?
A lot of the tenant spaces out there haven't been updated yet, and they're coming in one by one. So rather than bring them all one by one in front of the planning commission, we were just seeking, as long as they're substantially similar to what's already been approved by the planning
Gotcha.
commission, staff could just approve them.
Yeah, major changes to the architectural style, we would feel more comfortable bringing it back to the commission. But if it was in the same artistic or aesthetic look, we're just requesting to allow us to review them as staff.
Here's what made me feel more comfortable. If we went ahead and approved these three specific proposed changes to take to staff and treat anything future the same way. Assume it can be, but we'd want to check in before we said
Okay.
a wholesale or a blank check to have staff approval. Just not knowing what comes up in the future, yeah.
And I should say that I did review the materials, and I think that a lot of the things that residents pointed out as something that they did not like are no longer part of the on their material list.
So I think I'd feel comfortable directing staff or suggesting we direct staff to work through these ones that are up for review now, but if anything comes up in the future, another check-in to see whether we want to delegate it or not.
Keep the same format, provide a memo, and bring it before.
Exactly.
Thank you.
exactly.
Yeah.
Is that
That's
okay
fine.
with you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Applicant okay with that approach?
God says-
They better be.
Stay as long as you want now.
We have,
We're cool.
we have concurrence from the KCA apparently. All right, so, all right, do you need a motion or just a nod from a,
I think we're good with
Just
the
a
nod.
nod.
okay, did everybody
Nod.
nod? Okay,
Got the nod.
thank you. Thank you all, looking great.
Thank you.
So we covered meetings, right? So
Mhm.
we're good there? Anything else from staff? Anything else from commissioners now that we've talked through that?
Nope.
Okay. If not, have a good evening, we're adjourned.